Hi, girls.
Hi. Welcome back.
Hi.
We were just having a little chit chat.
Woo!
Thanks for stopping
I
by.
need to loosen up.
I didn't even see you
I've
girls
been
there.
wound up all day. Okay. Hi, girls.
Hello.
Welcome back to Hot and Bothered. I'm Cedar
Welcome.
Champ.
Hey, I'm Chris.
Bruno?
Hi, I'm Chris Bruno.
On this podcast, we talk about everything that we find hot as fuck.
And everything that bothers the absolute shit out of us.
Do not take our advice on anything at all.
Don't take our advice.
Don't take anything we say
Don't
too
don't
seriously.
take anything we say too seriously.
Thank you.
We have minimal life experience, blah 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 blah.
However that goes.
We actually have a lot of life experience. We should change that up.
We have more life experience than most people that I know. Honestly, like
combined, yes.
yes.
Combined, yes.
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 I was having this conversation with somebody recently about in terms of like I said something about all men. Obviously, like if any straight woman ever is listening to this, we like know like the argument between all men and not all men. And I said something to somebody about like men, all men, blah 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 blah, and they were like, "Well, have you dated all men?" And I was like, between my life experience and the life experience of my mother, my sisters, all of my girlfriends, my cousins, Chris Bruno, like all of the women in my life, yes, I've dated all men. So I can speak on behalf of all men because I have truly encountered all of them, all of our life experience combined. I know what the vibe is. And yes, all men. To answer the question, yes, all men. Anywho, that's so far beside the point. What was I saying?
I don't know.
Thank God. So anyway, hi, we're here. We're back for another week. I have had 1.5 whiskeys and I'm on one
with whiskey
today.
lately. I'm obsessed with whiskey
Whiskey
lately.
is really good and it's very underrated.
It's so good. The thing that I like about it is that you don't have to like mix it with anything.
No, it's very good, just iced.
Mm-hmm.
Can we tell you guys something? A secret? A little bit of
What?
a secret? Just before we started recording, I opened our Instagram and on our feed, like fed to us something you may be
my
interested
God.
in.
We should do a
Was
social
one
experiment.
of those super hot felons that you can like become a pen pal of or whatever the case is. I don't know how those things work, but like
We're gonna find out.
we're gonna find out. I'm like, every time this has ever happened, it's happened like twice in my life where like I get served something like that where it's like pen pal a felon, and I'm like, that is the hottest man
It's
I've
the fucking
ever seen in my
hottest
life.
man I
That is
have
the
ever seen.
hottest man
That
ever.
came up on my page a couple weeks ago, and I remember I had this fleeting thought, and I was like, should I just do this and not tell anyone
Kind
and like
of.
fully be in a relationship with
Mm-hmm.
somebody that I cannot touch that just fills some sort of emotional void
Kind of.
that I don't have to deal with, I don't have to babysit with, and honestly, I'm going to just make this fucking person's day because I'm
Yeah.
living my life in the world, and I'm like, "Hey girl, like how was your like basketball game with the boys? Like did you
Mm-hmm.
like what did you eat today? Like some mashed potatoes, you know what I mean?"
Yeah.
It's like I could just get this person would just blow smoke up my ass all day long.
Something that I really love is like longing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like longing for somebody is a really gorgeous feeling, which is probably why I've only ever been in long distance relationships. But like, imagine the longing that you feel for like
That's
somebody
like
that
such
is
an
in
antiquated
jail.
word.
Oh my God,
Longing.
longing. It's like
That
my
is
husband
like,
coming home from war, but it's
yeah.
like instead it's a super hot felon that's like literally in jail. Back to my sorority days.
I think I'm gonna do it.
There's a girl that I know from my sorority, and she's always been like low key, like a little iconic and like really interesting.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what she's doing in life right now, but I do know that she is engaged to a man that's in prison. And I'm like 98% sure they met after he was in prison. So I don't know how they met, but like my
Like
brain
he
would
was
like
in
to
prison
speculate.
and then he got out of prison and now he's back in prison.
No,
Oh,
like he was in prison and like
they got engaged.
potentially they became pen pals and got engaged. And so, as I was saying, I would really like to speculate, and I should literally probably DM her and just be like, can you please tell me the story? Because I need to talk about it with somebody. But, like,
With the source itself.
yes, like, it is so fascinating. And, like, she is an icon in my brain. Like, I'm like, this woman is so fascinating to me. And, like, every
I
once in a
love people
while,
like
she
that.
posts, like, a little tidbit of, like, information or, like, a picture of, like, her visiting him in jail. And, like, I'm so
I
fascinated by
love that
this.
for her.
I know.
That's me in 2025.
Absolutely. And as we are rolling into the holiday season and rolling into the new year, we
Okay, you look
really
creepy.
okay.
Like, okay. I'm like, okay. You're like rolling into the new year. I'm like, okay, babe.
I need a glass of water and
What's
a
happening?
cigarette and maybe a meal. Rolling into the new year. Stop. We need to be manifesting. We need to be thinking about what we want out of 2025, and I think that's super important. And stop
Top of my list, inmate, fiance.
exactly. Inmate pen pal turned fiance.
Yes.
But I have to tell you guys something. The reason Chris thinks I look scary right now, the reason I'm fully on one right now, the reason today has been the day that it's been is because, okay, so you guys remember back in September, an on again, off again fling of mine passed away. And in a moment, and I can't even say moment seriously, because let's be honest, it was weeks and weeks of like complete and utter desperation. I was like, I need to speak to a psychic medium, and I need somebody to just tell me. I need somebody to confirm for me that this person is here for me, is on the other side, is supporting me, is happy, healthy, feeling the vibes in whatever heaven exists, and is just like doing okay. And then like is also here. So that way I can confirm that I'm like not a crazy person, not just walking around my apartment talking to myself and being absolutely fucking insane. Like, I just needed a hard confirmation. And I had a friend connect me with a psychic. And I'm like, thank the fucking Lord. I'm going to speak with this psychic. They're going to answer all my questions. Everything is going to be fine and well. So I reach out to this person, and this was in September. I'm like pretty sure it's either September or the beginning of October. He's like, hey, babe, I can fit you in November 26th. And I was like, oh, that's fabulous. You mean 2 months from now? Thanks so much for fucking nothing. Like, thank you so fucking much. And obviously, I'm like desperate, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, I was referred by a friend who spoke very highly. Like, if I'm a very big believer in like what's meant to be will be. And so in my head, I was like, I'm obviously not meant to connect with this other person that I'm trying to connect with until then. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
what will be, will be. So I scheduled the appointment. A lot of things have happened since. And I'm like, okay, like, I didn't give this person any indication or like,
Background.
but yeah, background. I didn't preface with any information of like what I was looking for. I just went into the call with like an open mind, and I was like, we're going to figure out what needs to be figured out. So, hi, hello. My name is Cedar Champ. Today I had a 2 hour long phone call with a psychic medium who told me very few things about the person I initially scheduled the meeting to talk about, and told me 1.5 million other things of shit that I just needed to fucking know. Why did I start talking about this?
Because we're talking about it.
Yeah, there was a purpose, and I don't
We
remember
were
what it
talking about
was.
2025.
2025.
Yeah.
So I went into this call with this person, and I'm skeptical. If there's one thing I'm skeptical, like, I believe, and I'm like, the universe does its thing, and there are higher powers. I don't know
You're
what
just
they
skeptical
are.
of people
I'm skeptical in
and like this could
general.
be a scam.
Yeah, but like, I am a spiritual
Yeah.
person. However, I do have brain cells, and so I am skeptical. And I went into it with an open mind, but also an ounce of skepticism. And I was like, you know what? Whatever I need to know today, I will know. And Holy fucking shit. Holy fucking shit. I didn't get to connect with the person that I intended to connect with. And that was for very meaningful and understandable reasons.
But there was a reason that was crazy.
That was crazy. And
Yeah.
so to put it plainly, essentially this person that I wanted to connect with wasn't ready to connect.
Mm-hmm.
And I was forewarned by multiple people unrelated to this scenario that could be a possibility, because when people die, there's a process.
Mm-hmm.
Our souls are souls, and whatever you believe spiritually is none of my business. However, I think we can all acknowledge that our souls need to do things and go through things, and that's part of life, right?
Mm-hmm. And the afterlife.
And part of the afterlife, and that's, in a nutshell, also kind of part of life. So anyway, I didn't get to connect with this person that I wanted to connect with, mostly because their soul hasn't made the moves and done the things that need to happen before they can connect with the physical life,
Mm-hmm.
or the physical being, or whatever the fuck. Doesn't matter. I'm not here to educate. So I had a super interesting conversation with this person and learned a lot of information I wasn't expecting to learn. Connected with my grandmother, who I didn't really have a connection with when she was living. And so that was a really interesting thing to encounter. And I've always approached spirituality in a way of I expect it to guide me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect it to give me answers. I don't expect it to provide logic or reasoning. I just expect it to give me guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that guidance looks like, hey, you need to take a break and breathe. Or sometimes that guidance looks like, you need to work harder. And sometimes that guidance looks like, hey, there are a lot of people around you that love you, and you need
Mm-hmm.
to appreciate those people.
Mm-hmm.
And, these types of situations, circumstances, and meetings aren't always this person that died 60 years ago needs to connect with you, and they want to tell you that you're going to die in 60 days.
Yeah,
You know
which
what I'm
is what
saying?
we think of when we think of a psychic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've always approached mediums, tarot readings, psychics, any category of that in which you want to
Find
expand
answers.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always approach that as, it's not providing answers, it's providing guidance. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that there's a very clear differentiation between the two. And so anyway, today I had this meeting, and it provided me with a fuckload of guidance, and it was really spooky, eerie, cool in a lot of different ways. But on another note, it was just sometimes we all just really need to hear positive, encouraging feedback. Sometimes we all just need to hear somebody tell us you need to know your worth, you need to know your power, and you are so fucking cool, so strong, so smart and funny and educated, and you need to step into that version of yourself. Sometimes we just need those affirmations, and take what you want and leave the rest, as they all say. Anyway, you will have to remind me for the 15th time why I started talking about this.
Because we were talking about 2025.
In this conversation with this person, he kept telling me, he was going into 2025, this is what you need to focus on. This is where your priorities should be. You need to be strong in this way. You need to manifest in this way. You should start journaling more. He told me a lot of the things that I already knew, but sometimes we really do just need to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
And
he gave you specific dates and times.
He did.
Kind of.
He
that
did.
was amazing.
That were mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is of note, which I know a lot of us girls, especially if you're involved in the astrological realm, if you keep up with those kinds of things and whatever, we have just entered the age of Aquarius, which is supposed to be life-changing and huge. And it's I think a 20-year timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things are going to happen. And how do you capitalize on that? And how do you take advantage of it? And so this meeting that I had was able to inform me of a lot of the ways in which this could change things for me. This could be good for me. This could be bad for me. This could be revolutionary. And this is where my priorities should be. And going into 2025, fresh into the age of Aquarius, how do we really make the most out of what's to come? So, bitch, if you fucking haven't, let all of us, let's take a moment, get our fucking journals out, and let's write down our manifestations, let's write down our goals, and let's get into it in terms of what we want to see out of 2025. Because, like, hello, big things are coming, and let's make the most of it.
I love it.
Thanks, me too. Chris came over, like 45 minutes after I ended this meeting, and Chris walked into my apartment. He was
I
like,
was like, what's going on here?
he
You
was
were
like,
like standing in the corner with your eyes popping out of your head.
no, he literally was like, your eyes are bulging out of
I
your
was like,
head.
what's going on here?
And part of me was like, you're accusing me of just fully being cracked out.
And I was like, you are.
But I was like, I'm low key not. I just had a life changing interaction.
I love that.
And it was really gorgeous.
I love that.
I need to go see your hypnotherapist.
No, I'm like,
immediately.
whoever you saw doesn't have shit on my hypnotherapist, but you should go see her.
If anyone needs a referral for a psychic, this fucking guy literally was not fucking around. I'm not kidding. Like, I sat down.
We talked about it for 2 hours, and I was like sitting there with my jaw on the floor.
No, Chris was like, why do I feel like crying right now? It was that life changing that it was like,
I was like,
just
I'm so
gorgeous.
overwhelmed right now. Like, how overwhelmed are you? And then I was like, I'm jealous that you're experiencing this. I was like, I need to be experiencing this.
And then my eyes were bulging out of my head.
And they still are.
And they still are. So I just needed to
be a little hippy dippy mamas for 2 minutes and get it out, get it off your chest.
I can't even like call that like hippie.
It's not, but you know what I mean.
That's just like full-fledged psychosis.
Yeah,
and
Delulu.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like get delusional, write your goals and affirmations, and thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I needed to get that off my chest.
And speak to a psychic.
Speak to a psychic. Okay, anywho, so we're dating felons. We are having meetings with our psychics regularly.
In
Chris,
2025 or in 2024?
both.
Yeah.
It's never too soon to prepare.
No.
Get yourself ready. I don't know, but what I do know is that the next 20 years, what we have coming for us is going to be.
You are so optimistic right now.
I've never been happier in my life.
I know, I can tell, and I don't know who I'm sitting next to.
Well, let me tell you guys a secret. Let's not forget this is hot and bothered. And like with the complete and utter delusion also comes a little bit of like chaos and psychosis when it comes to romantic relationships and what have you. So I did go into this call with the psychic expecting for him to tell me that I'm wrong about everything I've ever believed in love, and who I think might be the love of my life is like the worst person for me, and like blah 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 blah. However, unfortunately for me, he confirmed all my delusions. So that's probably why I'm just a beaming ray of sunshine right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Chris is like not gonna be okay.
You guys, please find Cedar. Find Cedar.
Well, okay, I was trying to change the subject, and we are changing the subject.
Okay,
I'm
let's
sorry.
change the subject.
Actually on fucking crack right now.
Good.
First things first. I need your vape.
Cedar's psychic also told her that she shouldn't be smoking cigarettes or inhaling nicotine.
Not even my psychic, my grandmother.
Oh.
Isn't that the worst thing you've ever heard? Like, who am I without the identity of being a cigarette smoker? The funny thing is that
I'm like not though.
I'm like not a cigarette smoker.
You're not like, you don't smoke a pack a day. You smoke like one cigarette every 3 days.
That's just like recreational and for fun. But let's take a step back. I'm going to breathe some oxygen, and I'm going to ask you, Chris, are you hot or are you bothered this week?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Oh.
I think I'm bothered this week.
Okay.
I'm bothered this week. I'm actually bothered this week.
Okay, tell us
I don't know
about
if it pertains to my topic in particular.
Okay.
So I was talking to my friend, and he's a listener, so shout out, love you.
Hi, baby.
Hi, baby. He was saying, he was like, no one will treat you better than the man that you do not want.
Ugh.
And I was like,
don't we know it?
This is resonating with me, and this is resonating with me a little too hard, because I have thoughts, and this is something that I know, but it's like when someone wraps my little thought up with a pretty little bow and delivers it to me, I'm like, I know this, I just have not analyzed it into one sentence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And So I've been thinking about this a lot lately as I've been experiencing new men in my life. And these people are so nice and so sweet. And like, I was dealing with this one guy who, in particular, like, not that I need validation necessarily, but I've never really, well, I do need a lot of validation. I need the more validation than anyone in the world,
As much as anyone can
as
give.
much as anyone can
Humanly
give.
possible.
But like, just like, oh my God, you're so handsome. Like, oh my God, like just someone totally fucking swooning over you.
Mhm.
Like, obviously, I felt like that before. And I know that people have felt like that over me before, but to vocalize it is kind of one thing. And it
Yeah.
kind of like makes you a little bit uncomfortable. And then you kind of
Mhm.
question, like, are you,
Is this
like,
real?
is this real?
Are you
Like, are you
overcompensating?
overcompensating? Are you
Mm.
normal? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think any of that. I'm just like, is this person normal? Like, why are you telling me that? Like, keep it calm, cool, and collected.
Like, are you
Like,
okay?
you can think that, but I'm also like, okay, bitch, say it one more fucking time. We've been together for 1 hour. Like, if you give me another compliment, I'm gonna fucking punch you in the face. Like,
Mhm.
keep it together. Like,
Mhm.
focus on the goal here. Like, I don't know. Anyway, but I was like I've never really been with someone who's just like, oh my God, you're so this, you're so that, like da 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 da, like just so like enamored by me, which
Mhm.
I'm not attracted to. Let's be honest. Like I don't want someone to like. That's gonna make me think that you're weird, and I'm like,
Mhm.
no, you're not toxic. You are. Well, that maybe that is a little bit toxic.
It might be toxic, but it's also like you're just mentally ill.
Yeah, I'm just like, that's weird. Please stop talking. Like I don't want to
Mhm.
deal with that. Anyway, but like that is like a textbook example of like someone treating you well. And it's like, no, I don't want that. I literally do not want that. We need to unpack the phenomenon and the like psychological theory of why we don't like people that treat us well.
Which
Are there answers to
I
this?
was literally just about to ask you. I was just about to ask you, do you think part of the reason that makes you feel so uncomfortable is because you don't believe it yourself?
I believe it myself. I just think it makes me uncomfortable that somebody would be so stupid to like put all their cards out on the table and not have any self-control.
Boiling it down, bear with me. You think that that level of vulnerability is weakness.
I do.
Mhm.
I do.
Mhm.
These are great questions.
Mhm.
Do
I
you think it's
know.
weakness?
To an extent.
Yeah. It goes back to how you say it and how many times you say it. Like you
Mhm.
can give someone a I give compliments where they're due all the time.
Yeah.
But like if you are sitting there and you're like repeating the same thing over and over again and you have like googly eyes, I'm like, reel it the fuck in and let's
Mhm.
go.
Mhm.
Like, no, I'm not doing this.
Mhm.
Like, I'm a real person. Like, I don't need you to like. I sound like a crazy person right now, but
I don't think
I'm
so.
like, just shut the fuck up. Like, shut the
Yeah.
fuck up.
Yeah. The only time somebody has ever like swooned over me in that way and it didn't like immediately turn me off is when there was a certain level of connection already established for them
Correct.
to feel that way. So like we both of us, and I hope that whoever is listening, if you cannot think logically this way, then like you need to pull it together and rein it in.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I both can read through people's bullshit very easily. And so
Mm-hmm.
there is a certain level of like when somebody is being that like obsessive, infatuated, like fully just swooning over you in that way, and you know that they don't know you well enough
Yeah,
to
I'm like,
feel that way or to think that way about you, you know it's bullshit. And we can read through their fucking shit. However, there's a fine line. Sometimes we are a little protective of our hearts. And so when somebody sees those things in us and they're infatuated with us and they really like us and whatever, we immediately read that as them being either manipulative or really fucking dumb
or yeah, extremely like weak.
or extremely weak.
Yeah.
And sometimes it really just is that we're all that in a bag of fucking chips and we have to accept that. But that is where the question comes into play of, do you just not see that in yourself and so you find it hard to believe that somebody else could see that in you?
Okay, well, back to my main topic of like you will
Mm-hmm.
always want or you will what did I
No
say?
one will treat you better than the guy that you don't want.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but in this certain situation that I'm talking about, I was like, you actually know zero about me,
Mm-hmm.
and you can keep giving me these compliments that are, you know, relating to my physical attributes, but at the same time, like, one is great, two is a lot,
Mm-hmm.
three is weird, four is shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, remember when you said desperate chihuahua humping your leg,
Mm-hmm.
desperate like dog humping your leg? That's
Mm-hmm.
like what I was getting, and I was
Yeah.
like, please leave me alone, please stop.
Yeah.
um
And that's,
and then
I feel like when you can read through it, where either they're so deeply insecure that they think that they need to be like obsessed with you to get your attention, or like, that they don't know you that well and it's
mhm.
all just a ploy to make you more interested
Yeah,
in them because they're
yeah,
stroking your
yeah,
ego.
yeah. And that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work for
Mm-mm.
me, at least. I don't know who it works for. And I'm not here like trying to toot my own horn. It's just something that I've experienced recently
Yeah.
that literally made me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking about the, you will, fuck, why am I like dyslexic today?
No one.
No one will treat you better than the man that you don't want. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, this kind of relates back to that, but it's like on a different frequency. But overall, I just think it's interesting how I react to things that people would be attracted to.
Something that very manipulative people have unfortunately learned to master is like, you had made a comment very
Are you
briefly.
calling me manipulative?
No,
Okay.
which you are, but we won't talk about that today. You had made a comment very briefly about like people commenting on your physical attributes or physical attributes in general. And that, I feel like, is part of how you can differentiate somebody who's just maybe insecure versus somebody who's very manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the insecure person will typically compliment you excessively and heavily on your physical appearance right off the bat. And the person that is very manipulative, which, like, if any of us know anything about anyone who is manipulative, also known as maybe narcissistic personality disorder, if that's what it's called,
Sociopath.
then that also stems from very deep rooted insecurities. However, those compliments are usually a bit deeper and they strike closer to home. And those are usually the people who are, you've met them 5 minutes ago and they're saying, you are so smart, or like, oh my God, you are so funny. Like, I can't believe how accomplished you are. And they know nothing about you. And those are the people to be wary of. I did just want to interject that, like, there is kind of two sides to the coin. Neither of them are a very developed person.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is just easier at convincing and manipulating,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all people to be wary of. However, that's not to say you shouldn't believe them, because you are gorgeous. You are super fucking hot. You have amazing sex appeal. I mean, how else do you put it? You are so funny. You're so
Are you
fucking
talking about
smart.
me?
No.
Oh. I'm like,
Do you want
oh.
me to be?
I don't know. I thought that's where we were going with this.
Yes, it all applies. I'm also talking to our audience.
Okay, yes.
You're so accomplished. You're so successful.
Blah,
You
blah, blah,
have
blah, blah.
so much potential. Okay, so now we're talking about other people, and
Now
you're
I'm
like, blah, blah,
blushing.
blah, blah, blah. He's like, I don't care
No,
to hear the rest.
I want to get to my
Now I
point. I
know.
want to get to my point
Now
before
I
I
know that it's not
forget.
about me.
No, I want to get to my point before I forget. So fucking reel it in.
Point being, be careful, but don't be too careful. What were you going to say?
I feel like the most insecure people do not give compliments.
I don't think that's true.
Really?
I don't think that's true.
Oh my God, I feel like the
I
most
think
insecure people do not give
I
compliments
think the
because they're bitter
most
betties and they're fucking miserable and they're bitter as fuck.
I think the most obviously insecure people do not give compliments. I think the people that are like covert narcissists or just insecure in general, but have developed really good skills and tactics to hide it,
Mm-hmm.
will compliment you,
Yes,
and
because
in
they're.
the right ways.
Mm-hmm.
That is terrifying sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say?
No, that's a whole nother story
It's a whole other story.
for
Yeah.
another day.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why we're giving psychological advice that's not accurate.
I love it. We should give more inaccurate
Anyway,
advice.
back to my point, girls.
Please.
Do you have anything to add?
Did I not add enough?
No, I know, but we got like so wrapped up in talking about compliments and shit that I'm like,
it is so lovely and gorgeous to have your ego stroked most of the time.
I was just overwhelmed and drowning.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even give one back.
That's the worst.
I couldn't.
Where
and
you feel like you owe a compliment.
Because I felt like this, because that's a Libra. It's like someone's like, oh, you're so pretty. I'm like, you're so pretty. But I was like, I can't even do that because this person is a psychopath. And if I say that, then they're going to think that I'm in love with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like, thank you.
So how did
Thank you
finish that?
Finish what?
How did you tie that up in a bow?
I got the validation that I needed for the next year, and I'll never speak to that person again.
We took what we needed and we left the rest. Gorgeous.
And then I got like gaslit into whatever it was.
Share more about that.
Okay, how did it end? How did it get wrapped up?
Yeah.
I got the validation that I needed for a year, and then he proceeded to message me and say, oh my God, you've been through so much, like you should date me, blah 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 blah. And I was like, I didn't respond. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I was like, what story are you producing in your head? I was like, we barely talked about anything. I was like, I haven't been through
you
anything.
You hung out with this person one time.
Yes. Once.
One time.
Once. 2 hours. Once. And I was like, what have I gone through for you to, like, if I'm going to respond to this person, I'm going to go the fuck off. Like, do I respond and go the fuck off and say, you are batshit crazy, you're a fucking psychopath? Like, I know, it's like, I was going to say something nice because I'm like, I'm trying to be like developed and not like burn bridges everywhere I go. But at the same time, I'm like, this person, like, I don't need to deal with someone like that. It's also like, you live in Santa Monica, I'm never going to cross your path. Like, it's fine.
Right.
So I'm like, it doesn't matter. But yeah, proceeded to like gaslight me, like all this empathy that I never asked for. I'm like, why are you victimizing me when I'm not a victim? And then was like, you should really give me a shot and date me, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, bitch, where are you? Like, this is all over the place. It's like this one paragraph is an emotional roller coaster and I don't know what is going on here.
And a paragraph text message after one in-person interaction.
Well, there was 3 paragraphs, but the last one specifically was that. And so I was just
it's
like,
it's too much. It's too much.
I was like, babes. Anyway, I guess this actually isn't someone that treats you right.
Right.
This has nothing to do with the initial topic, actually, once we kind of unpack it. So let's just scratch the whole beginning of that. We just want toxic men.
I don't think that's it.
That's actually like a weird type of toxic.
That's psychosis.
It's weird.
It's very weird.
It's weird.
It's not energy that we're accepting.
It's okay. The psychic has entered the chat.
Oh my God. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Okay, shut the fuck
No,
up.
no.
Should we revisit the episode that we recorded after you had your hypno?
I'm just giving you shit.
Exactly.
Shut the fuck
That's what I
up.
thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah, anyway, weird shit.
Yeah.
People are fucking weird.
Super weird.
And that's all I got for you today, girls.
I kind of loved that. I think that was good. No, I did. I think that, like, because sometimes there are those people that are like excessively
up your fucking ass.
And it's so fake.
It's so fucking annoying.
Like, let's be honest, the validation is so lovely at times.
Yes.
But you really need to call bullshit when you fucking see bullshit. And like 98% of the time, like, you met this person in person one fucking time.
Yes, I didn't even want it. Was against my will.
So far up your fucking ass.
It was against my will because he was so far up my ass before I even met him. And I was like,
this is a sociopath.
Christ.
Deeply insecure. They have no fucking life.
I honestly, I didn't even like analyze it that far to say insecure or a sociopath. I was just
you
like,
just need to know that
I was just like weird.
Yeah.
I was just like weird.
Just needs to go.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. It's all weird.
Weird.
It's all weird.
Exactly.
You don't send someone a text like that. And also was like, it doesn't work. We'll be talking all night about this. Should I keep talking?
No.
Okay.
Do you want to keep going? It also what?
I was also like okay. this again, we're just going on a tangent talking about this one specific person that's fucking a cuckoo bird in my opinion.
But it's a very good representation of a lot of other fucking cuckoo birds. So
Yeah, and
let's
I was
embrace
like,
it. Go for it.
and I was very transparent. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to date someone I don't want to date. Like, I'm not interested in that right now. I do not want to be doing that right now. Like, and he was like, oh, well, like, that's what I'm looking for. And I was like, if that's your prerogative, babe, I'm obsessed with that for you. I love you for that. Go off, go find someone amazing. And I was like, if you're continuously trying to convince me to date you and to like pursue some, I'm like, can you take no for an answer? Persistent fucking, there's this term, I can't even talk about it. What talk?
I said this last week.
What?
How the like needy.
Chihuahua humping the leg. Or was that something else? I just love that analogy.
Yes. But also last week I described it. Was it last week? Was it last week's episode? I described it as like the dog, like the border collie nipping at your heels. It goes one of two ways. Sometimes you tell a guy, I'm not interested in a relationship, and they say, that's okay, I'm fine with that. I don't want that either. And you can feel their desperation nipping at
Yeah.
your heels. Or you say, I'm not
We
interested in
did
it.
talk about this.
Hang on. Or you say, I'm not interested in a relationship.
Yeah.
I don't want that. And they say, I don't fucking want that either. And they gaslight you.
No. But he was saying that he does want it.
I know. I'm just saying, we talked about this last week.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
usually goes one of two ways.
Mhm.
So now we lived in the past week since the
I've
last episode we
experienced
recorded.
this.
You experienced this.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. You were like, I'm not super interested in a relationship.
But he gaslit me into trying to convince me that I do want to be in a
Yeah,
relationship
yeah.
specifically with him.
Yep.
And I was like, that's not how it goes. I'm not
No.
going to decide today that I like on
I just
day
met
one
you. I
that I
just
want to
met
be in a
you.
relationship with you.
Mhm.
Like, do you know how the world works? Do you
No.
know how things are? Do you know how the human brain operates? Like,
No.
in what world am I going to want to wake up tomorrow and be in a relationship with somebody that I don't know? And to like date someone that I don't know?
Mm-mm.
Do I want to do that?
No.
Fuck no. Am I
Mm-mm.
crazy? Yes. Am I that fucking stupid? No.
No. And cheers to that.
Honestly,
Get rid of those type of people. Like, they're weird.
it was never something that I needed to get rid of in the
No,
first
I'm not
place
talking
because
about
I was
you.
never
I'm
interested.
talking to everybody else.
Okay, everything's about me though. So
Okay,
do you
that's
think,
so true.
like,
Well, you already got rid of him. So to everybody else, if you have a fucking weirdo freak like that in your life, get rid of them. That is not the energy we need to bring into the new year, into 2025.
and honestly, like lately I've been just like saying yes to people because I'm like,
Sometimes you have to.
I don't know, I'm going through a phase where I'm just like, fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like one
You're,
what
as you said, back on your bullshit.
back on my motherfucking bullshit. Not really. It's not. It's like I'm like on 20% of the bullshit that I was on previously.
Yeah.
So but I guess I'm saying yes to the wrong people.
Well, but that's also just like living, learning, and growing. Sometimes you just say yes and
I'm
it,
just like I'm
you
mad at
learn
myself.
from
Like I'll
it.
never get that time back.
it was 2 hours.
I'll never get those
Our
2
time
hours
is valuable.
back.
It's not that valuable.
It
Let's be
is.
honest.
It is. Okay, I'm done talking. I'm sweating. Can't breathe. Are you hot or are you fucking bothered?
Should we breathe for a moment?
Hey girls, okay, so we're back. Cedar just had to have a mental breakdown and talk about her psychic experience. So she's gonna get back to us shortly when she can breathe again and let us know if she's hot or bothered.
Can you be serious?
I'm in trouble. Okay, are you hot or are you bothered, sweetheart?
That's such a loaded question. I don't know how to answer it. I'm actually bothered this week, and let me tell you why. I'm bothered this week because I've had loose conversations about this, like playfully and like in a funny way, but I'm like kind of low key questioning my sexuality a little bit. And I genuinely can't tell if it's stemming from just such a deep rooted hatred of a patriarchal society, or if I genuinely maybe want to fuck women. Okay, so let's take a step back. As we all know, and as I've talked about on this podcast, I like have identified myself in the past as like demisexual, right? Okay, so like
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, I first started having sex. I was like fucking everybody. I didn't know what an well, I actually wasn't fucking everybody, but like I was fucking a few people, whatever. Didn't know what an orgasm was, learned what an orgasm was. I was like having sex. And then I dabbled with like different types of sex, and I was like dabbling a little bit with like some kinky little like BDSM moment, like a little bit of like really intense, like low key kind of oddly aggressive sex. And I'm like, should sex be that aggressive? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I'm like, I don't kink shame, but at the same time, I'm like,
Maybe
why are
that's not for
we?
you. Tried it and you didn't like it.
But I don't know if I liked it because sometimes I do. And like sometimes I like really want to have really rough, aggressive, like
Yeah.
hate sex. And sometimes I don't. So I've dabbled with like different types of sex. But then I've had sex with people where I'm like so in love. And once you've like kind of touched on that level of like intimacy with somebody, it is kind of really challenging to backtrack from there. And
Can you expand on that?
so I went from like having meaningless sex when I
Mm-hmm.
was like late teens, early 20s,
Mm-hmm.
having super meaningless sex, and then started having sex with people that I actually liked, where I kind of dropped my walls a little bit and was less afraid of vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
intimacy, what have you. And then that also hand in hand allowed me to experiment with like, okay, well, I've been like, okay, so for example, let's talk about porn. Like for years, the porn that I would watch was like oddly a little aggressive, but I do feel like unfortunately in terms of heterosexual porn, that is like what it is,
Yeah.
because there's in our society like there's a lot of aggression toward women, and so naturally a lot of the porn that we're consuming is very
Placates that.
aggression forward
Yeah.
toward women. And so it all kind of tied together. And then I finally was with a partner where I was like able to experiment a little bit with if I actually do really like aggressive sex or what the deal is. But at the same time, that partner kind of opened my eyes to with aggression, like with extreme, intense, very rough sex, there also needs to be this like counteractive part
Like
of like
softness. Yeah.
intimacy. And that's kind of part of it. And that's also how you get to a place of like allowing yourself to like be comfortable having that type of sex with somebody, is when you feel protected and safe enough to have that type of sex with somebody. So anyway, there was like a little bit of like a little experimentation there. And after that relationship, I went back to my usual bullshit, very meaningless sex, very aggressive sex for like no reason with like people that I didn't care about. And then I like really fell in love with someone, and the sex that we were having was like very intimate, emotional, passionate, loving, dare I
Mm-hmm.
say. That
So
makes
you
me grow
girls were making love.
up. I know, isn't
You
that?
guys were making love, love.
And I hate saying that.
Like you were making love.
Fully making love.
Yeah.
Fully making love. And that relationship ended. Since that relationship, I've been like, I don't really want to have sex unless I have that level of intimacy with somebody, because when you have sex with someone that you're so intimately connected with, it's hard to have sex without intimacy once you've like reached that point. And
I understand.
so it's been a while. I haven't been in love since, and therefore have not had sex with that level of intimacy. And I've had sex, I've had good sex since then, and like it's all been fine and well and what have you. But there is a part of me that like very much craves that intimacy. Tie that in with my hatred toward men, my fear of commitment, my inability to be vulnerable with men, etc. There's obviously a lot of factors at play here, and so I'm like, I don't know if it's safe for me to be intimate and vulnerable with men in that way moving forward. Let me pause. I was having a conversation with a girlfriend the other day. We were talking about relationships. We were talking about indirectly just how to have a healthy relationship. And I had made a comment, and her response to that was, I find it to be so important when you're in a relationship with somebody to check in with them regularly, even when things are really good, to check in with them on how they're feeling, what's going on, if there's anything you can be doing differently to be a better partner to them, how you can best show up for them, what you can do to support them, especially when things are seemingly fine, well, and perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I've always felt that.
Mm-hmm.
I've vocalized that a few times, never with this friend of mine specifically. And so the fact that she said that, I've never heard a straight man say that. I've never ever heard anything even remotely similar to that.
Well, they don't even want to talk about it if it's bad.
They don't even want to talk about it as
Yeah.
bad, let alone talk about it when it's good and
Mm-hmm.
talk about something that might be even slightly perceived as bad.
Yeah.
So she said that, and I was like, fuck. I
You're like, I'm
will,
in love with you.
yes. I was like, I will never meet a straight man. Cause she said that, and I was like, I've had that same exact thought 1.5 million times. I've just never said that to you.
Mm-hmm.
You read my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never in my life met a straight man who could acknowledge that, verbalize that, articulate that, even think that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I might not ever be emotionally fulfilled in a heterosexual relationship because of that, because men can't understand these kinds of things. And it's not that they can't, it's that obviously societal conditioning, yada, yada, yada. Like, I mean, obviously, there's a reason I have a lot of gay friends, and it's because like you guys get it more than like straight men will, blah, 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 blah,
I
blah.
mean, I've never really had that thought, but
You haven't, but I have confidence in your ability to.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, fuck, maybe I should start considering dating women. Then I was masturbating the other night. I knew you were gonna get so uncomfortable. And it's normal for girls to watch girl on girl porn. It's like super normal. I haven't in like a really long time, probably since I was like low key like 17 years old. And then I was like scrolling, and then like some like girl on girl action came up, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of into it. And then I got into it, and then now we all know I have OCD, and we all know I overthink, overanalyze. I'm hypercritical of actually everything in life. So now I'm in a full-fledged spiral. Am I a lesbian?
There's only one way to find out.
I have to hook up with a girl.
We have to go to a gay bar and find a lesbian.
So one of my friends, I
What kind of
texted
lesbian
her.
do you think that you would like?
Oh, I already know the answer to
What
this.
what?
Like she has to be a like low key kind of butch, but like still kind of pretty. There's this one girl I think of specifically
Oh
that
my
I
god, you
met
have a
one
lesbian
time. I have a
crush.
lesbian crush. I fully have a lesbian crush. Have not seen her in years. Might not ever see her
You DM'd
again.
her yesterday.
I've seen her. I have no idea who she is. I've seen her twice in my life at this place I used to hang out at a lot. And she is like a gorgeous person, but low key a little mask. Like her hair is super short, buzzed on the sides. She's got tattoos, but she's like skinny, muscular. She's like in really good shape, but like pretty, but like a little mask. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I've always been so fascinated by her. The few times that I've seen her like in real life, I've always been like, oh my God, you're so like stunning in a weird way. But
I'm mesmerized by this conversation.
no, I'm mesmerized by it.
By her.
Yes, and by the conversation. But I was texting one of my girlfriends the other day, and I was like, I'm, what do I do? Like, how do I figure this out? Like, because I don't think I'm a lesbian, but I'm also like, could I be? Because I could be one of those girls that like gets so deep in like the hatred of men that I just like turn into a lesbian. But she was like, but okay, easy question. Can you picture yourself going down on a woman? And I'm like, no. That's the only reason I've always known that I'm not a lesbian is
Yeah.
because I do not want to go down on a woman. However, does anybody naturally and inherently love to suck dick? I think it's a learned behavior. I think it's a learned behavior. I think that I learned that that's what you're supposed to do. And so I learned to like not hate it and I'm fine with it. And so then I'm like,
You're
well,
like, and I'm fine with it.
I'm like fine with it, I guess. But I'm also like, if I were to like fall in love, which like I'm this way about heterosexual sex, where I'm like, I don't even
Yeah.
really like sex unless I'm super in love with the person. So who's to say that I wouldn't be the same way in terms of sex with a woman? What if I fall in love with a woman and then I don't like the sex is like an added bonus and then I ended up like really liking it? I don't know. And I won't know until unfortunately, until I fall in love with a woman. Like I have to fall in love to like know.
You have to eat pussy before you fall in love with her too.
I don't know if that's true.
You're gonna have to fucking eat her pussy.
That doesn't have to be true.
You can't fall in love with somebody.
I've fallen in love with a guy before I've sucked his dick.
You've fallen in love with someone before you saw their dick.
Before I've sucked their dick.
Okay, but you saw it.
I guess maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I can't fall in love with someone unless I like know unless I've test driven it.
But I'm not super sexually driven anyway. Like
I
as a
get that.
person, I'm not wildly sexually driven. So
Mhm.
that is like part of what makes me question this. Is
Mhm.
because it's like, no, that's not something I'm into.
Mhm.
But could I be into it? I don't know.
Yeah. If you're in love with them, you could be into it.
If I'm in love with them, I could be
I
into
just
anything.
I couldn't fall in love with someone if I didn't know what their dick looked like. Cuz I'm going to be in love with that dick too. And what if the dick is really ugly?
But have you not ever had a connection with someone that was just so
I have, and their
overpowering?
dick was disgusting, and then I got the ick. Like I've had a really good connection with someone, and then we hooked up, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, what is that?" And then I couldn't do it, and then I immediately was just like, "It's not gonna work."
How bad was it? I can't say that's ever happened to me. Tell me any details. Why was it bad?
It was gross.
In what way?
It
He was
was like,
uncut?
no, I
It
don't
was
care about
small?
that. It was like this. It was like this.
It was just very small.
Yeah, and very skinny.
Was it hairy?
Honestly, I blocked it out. I just remember it being disgusting and very small. And I'm not shaming micro penises or really thin dicks. It's just not for me.
See, that's the thing. If I were to be dating a guy just to find out that his penis was so unfortunate, that would be an immediate turnoff for me.
Like, that's the reality of it.
So then,
Like, we're not
then my
size
question
queens. We just
is,
want a nice dick.
no, we're not size queens. But then I'm also like, but that's because it's a penis.
Oh, so you're like, okay, so what if I could be in love with this girl and then I don't, and then her vagina grosses me out, so then I'm turned off by the whole thing?
Or, but like, what if I could be in love with this girl, but then it's different because it's a vagina and not a penis? Because there's nothing more disappointing than like a micro penis. But like, it's a vagina, so you know what to expect. And I already know that that thing's not going inside of me, or they're not going to try and put it inside of me because they can't. So then it's like,
I don't know. Those things scare me. They like have a lot. I mean, I love them and they make the world go round and they give birth and all that
so
good stuff.
true.
Like I think they're gorgeous and I do really feel like I have guilt every day that women have so many vaginal and reproductive problems that men don't have. I think that is crazy
I'm
and
glad that you feel that
unfair.
way.
I think it's so like I hate that women have to deal with like breast shit and vagina, like it's just so it's like they're
This is the first time ever hearing you saying this, and I really like to hear this from you.
I just feel so bad that like I don't have to be conscious of my dick and my balls.
Oh, that's really lovely
Like it's
to
just like,
hear.
okay, like hey girl, what's going on
Yeah.
down there? But like you guys have like mammograms, pap smears, fucking eggs dropping, blood. It's
Chris
like
being a feminist?
I'm like it's
Oh.
crazy. No, I've always thought that. I'm just like I've always been like that's why I'm selfishly very grateful that I'm a man
Mm-hmm.
because I don't have to deal with that whole aspect
This
of
just
life.
warmed my heart. Oh,
It's true.
I'm really glad you feel that way.
I feel so bad. No, I don't feel.
Oh,
I feel bad. I
you can say that.
feel
It
bad.
sucks. Yeah, it fucking sucks.
It's just like a
yeah.
whole world
And
of shit
like
that you have to take care of.
women don't.
Hormones, pH balance. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
What the fuck?
Like I don't, girl. Like calm down. Like that's a lot to maintain.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Yeast
like
infections. The cranberry juice. What's the cranberry juice one? Is it a yeast infection?
UTI.
UTI.
Mm-hmm.
Bacterial vaginosis. Toxic shock syndrome. Fuck. And that's barely like doesn't even touch the internal.
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm a feminist.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so Chris is a feminist. I do want to say you were like hesitant by saying like you feel bad for us.
Because I don't want to like pity you, but I'm like I
No.
feel like it's a big not a responsibility, but it's like something that you have to be like conscious of all the time.
And that's where you got hung up on, and I just want to clarify this on your behalf. It's not that women need to feel pity, and that's what you were trying to convey. It's that women need understanding.
Yeah. No, I get it. And I'm not trying to like make you feel less than
No, you're
by
not.
that.
No,
But I'm
you're
just like
not.
I'm
But
acknowledging that like I think it's crazy that's I feel bad that
you
you guys have to experience that and think about that and I don't.
you are allowed to convey a sense of understanding for what we have to go through, even though it's not something you will ever experience, without the guilt of like feeling like you're pitying us or something of that nature. Like, but what we need as women is for men to acknowledge and
Yeah.
understand. We don't need pity, but we do need understanding, and that's exactly what you were doing. And thank you, and I really appreciate that. Chris is literally the modern day feminist. Thank you,
I
Ruth
love
Bader
it,
Ginsburg, sitting on
honestly.
my sofa.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm a lesbian, Chris is a feminist, and that's all we have. I'll let you guys know. I don't have any answers except for that I might have to just think on it for a little while, maybe try and
We're kind of all over the place tonight.
maybe I try and go on a date with a woman. I won't say that I'm going to try and have sex with a woman because that's just like not realistic.
You're
But
gonna
like,
probably hate it.
I'm going to hate everything.
You're gonna hate
regardless of. I
all
hate
of
dating
it.
men. I'll hate
No, you're
dating
gonna
women.
hate it.
We'll figure it out. I'll let you guys know when I have answers. In the meantime, unless a man rolls in and literally blows my fucking socks off.
Blows your vagine out of the water.
Literally shoves, what is it called? The
Dick.
things that blow up tunnels and mountains.
Landmines.
No.
Bombs. Fireworks. Okay, we have to go find our brain cells, so we're gonna let y'all go. Homework for the week is don't compliment someone and go eat some pussy.
Yeah.
See a psychic.
Don't be a narcissist.
I don't
See
even-
a psychic.
I have a lot of explaining to do about my whole topic. Maybe we'll do like a part 2.
Or we'll talk about it on our stories.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram if you want to be on our close friends. DM us. We'll give you the answers on how to get there. And let me know if I'm a lesbian. Let Chris know if he's Ruth Bader Ginsburg reincarnated. And we love you so fucking
you.
much. Have a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous week ahead. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Bye, Divaliciouses.